Good morning, boys and girls, and happy Monday. It's a little gloomy today, but I hope that your classmates and your teacher bring a little sunshine to your day. Today is Monday, October 16th, 2023. Today we have a special guest. I would like to introduce to you Mrs. Paglia. Mrs. Paglia has joined us today to bring awareness to something you may or may not know about. Yesterday, the national day, there's many days that are celebrated, but yesterday was National White Cane Awareness Day. So Mrs. Paglia and Mrs. Lewis are here to Mrs. Lewis will be learning, and hopefully so will you, and Mrs. Paglia will share with us some information that you may or may not know about. So I have some questions for her. Welcome. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
joining us.
You may have seen me around the school. I work with several students here. I am a teacher of students who are blind and visually impaired and an O&M specialist. And what that stands for is orientation and mobility. And that means that I specifically work with people who are visually impaired to teach them how to get around safely and how to know where they are. And a big part of that is the white cane.
So when is White Cane and how do we celebrate it?
So every year on October 15th, there's a special day set aside, and we use this day to raise awareness about what the white cane is and how people use it, and also to celebrate the independence that the white cane can bring for people who are blind and visually impaired. And we've been celebrating it since 1964.
Wow, so if I would do the math, 64, let's see here, that's 36 years to get to 2000, then another 23 years, 36 plus 23, oh my goodness, that's about 59 years. So we've been
59.
celebrating White Cane Month or Day for 59 years. So how does that white cane help people?
We always say the white cane is useful for 3 reasons. The first one is safety. You'll notice if you see your friend Derek using his cane, he pushes it on the ground in front of him and it lets him know if there's a drop off or an obstacle in the way that he needs to go around. It also gives information. When a person is tapping or riding that white cane along the ground, it vibrates in their hand, it makes a different sound. It lets them know, am I walking on carpet? Am I walking on the pavement? So it gives them information about where they are. And the third reason, and this is where White Cane Day comes into play, it has to do with identification. It lets other people know that person has a visual impairment. And that's especially important for drivers because they're required by law to be especially cautious if they see somebody walking with a white cane.
That's interesting. 3 things: safety, information for the person who's using it, and then identification to those around. Great. So do you mean that there is a law about the white cane?
There is. Every single state in America has its own version of a white cane law. That law says that if a person is crossing the street using a white cane, the driver must yield to them. If there is ever any kind of accident involving a person with a white cane, the driver is always held responsible. So it's an additional responsibility for drivers to understand what that white cane means and to be aware.
Okay. And since we say white cane, why is it white and not another color like blue and gold if they go to a school that has blue and gold?
That's a great question. In fact, people have been using a cane or some sort of walking stick for hundreds of years. But for a long time, it might have literally been a stick or a brown cane or a black cane. It wasn't until the 1920s and 30s that they started to paint them white. And the reason is because of vehicles. When a lot of cars became more common and the cars are moving so fast down the road, it's harder for drivers to notice a person is using a cane. And so it was very dangerous. And so they started to use white canes. A gentleman in London, I think, is credited with painting his cane white first. In America, it was in 1931 that the Lions Club took it upon themselves to make it their mission to spread awareness of the white cane, and they distributed white canes nationwide to people who are blind. It's also fun to know, too, that the tip is always red, and the white canes these days have a reflective material. So if you're driving at night, they glow almost like a stop sign would glow.
Oh, wow. Interesting. Okay. Thank you. Is there anything that we should know to do or not to do when we see someone who's using a white cane?
Absolutely. The first thing is don't assume they need your help because chances are, if they're walking with a white cane, they already know how to get around independently and safely. And also, just because a person can't see you doesn't mean they can't hear you. It's not kind to talk about someone just because they're blind or to call attention to them in public. They can hear what you're saying. If you really want to know more about that person, just talk to them. And remember, use good manners.
So similar to maybe if we were to see Derek in the hallway. So instead of just walking past him, it might be helpful to say hello or good morning, and then he kind of knows the voices and he might know where traffic is coming from. So that could be helpful to him too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Is it okay to ask if the person needs help? So if you see them or if they even have other people around them, is it okay that we ask them if they need help?
It's definitely okay to ask if they need help, but you should never grab or touch a person who's visually impaired without asking their permission first. So if you want to offer help, you should first start by introducing yourself. For example, Derek does know the voices of a lot of his friends, but not everybody. So as a good rule of thumb, if you're someone who doesn't one of his closest friends, it's good to tell them who you are so he knows who's talking to him. Then you should also ask if they need help, and if they do, let them be the ones to tell you how you can help them.
Well, thank you so much for sharing everything. I knew a little bit, but now I have a lot better understanding of why it's white, the three reasons that they use that cane.
Mm-hmm.
And just like Mrs. Paglia said, just because we might be, one of our senses might not be as strong as others, that's when our other senses really help us. So someone who is visually impaired might not be able to see well or see at all. That's when they truly rely on their sense of touch and their sense of hearing to be able to identify their surroundings and their environment. So I'm truly thankful that she was with us here today to share a little bit about the white cane. So for those of you who did not know this, there you go. And maybe you could help us bring more awareness to your family by sharing some things with them, a brother or sister, a family friend, or even mom or dad, of white cane, why it's used, who uses it, and why it's important that we teach others about it. So thank you, Mrs. Paglia.
Thank
and
you
we'll get
so much.
on to
Have a
the
great
rest of our
day.
announcements. Boy, I'm so thankful that she was able to spend some time with us this morning. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag Happy birthday today to Mrs. Cox, one of our second grade teachers, and Mrs. McAllen, one of our paraprofessionals. Ladies, I hope that you have an amazing day and you feel all of the love today on your special day. For lunch, our cafeteria will be serving chicken and gravy over mashed potatoes, or the option of corn dog nuggets, wow butter and jelly, or grilled chicken salad. I want to give a shout out to all of second grade. Boys and girls, we are also proud of you for working so hard on your Iowa assessments last week. So good job. Keep up the good work, and I bet that you're excited that they are over. Some exciting events coming this week at the elementary. On Wednesday, we have the fire truck that's coming to visit us. They will be parked on the side blacktop. Your teacher knows the schedule, and you'll be able to go visit on Wednesday. On Thursday, the 19th, we have the fourth grade field trip to Camp Conakry. Our fourth grade student of the day today is Miss Cassidy Embry. Cassidy's favorite subject in school is ELA. Her favorite hobby is reading or drawing. Her favorite sport is soccer or softball. Her favorite book is The New Kid by Jerry Craft. Her favorite movie is Parent Trap. That's a good one, Cassidy. She says that she likes to eat steak. She likes to listen to country music. And when she grows up, she wants to be a second grade ELA teacher or a babysitter. And really what's great is that, Cassidy, you can do both of those. Maybe even become a babysitter before you're a second grade teacher. Currently in New Wilmington, it's cloudy, dreary, with a temperature of 46 degrees. The sun might not be as bright today. In fact, we might not be able to see it at all with the cloud cover, but we will reach a high of 55 degrees. And there is a chance of some rain showers. I'm so glad that you joined us today to get your learn on. Mrs. Lewis missed you these last couple days. Remember, Mrs. Lewis loves you. I'm proud of you, and it's so good to see all of your faces today. I always remind you to run like a greyhound. Be respectful and responsible. Always use kindness and never give up. Have a marvelous Monday and make it a good day. We'll see everyone later. Bye, friends.